Welcome back to Tactics Talk with Guido. On this episode, I got a 2-pack of replays for replay analysis. Banzi Duck driving his Skorpian G. He's bottom tier in this case of a 357 on the Paris map, and he's spawned in over on the east side of the map, and he's deciding where to go. He's asking for help with the Skorpian G. So the Skorpian G is pretty unique as a TD goes. I like to call it the best premium tier 8 medium end TD in the game. It actually works pretty well as a medium. What does it have going against it? It has virtually no armor, so it's going to get penned by everything. HE is a problem, artillery is a problem, but it is extremely mobile. It's got a great big old gun for a tier 8 on a very mobile chassis, and its biggest advantage is it's got a turret. So as a TD with a turret with that big of a gun, that's a huge advantage. Positioning then is important in WOT, and it's extremely important with the Skorpian G. You can play it forward, but you've got to play it forward in a position where it can hide from things if it needs to. It's not going to be able to side scrape. You don't want to go to places like that. But if you are going to support or get aggressive with it, you want to go with some other tanks. So right off the bat, Banzi, I'm going to tell you that I'm not excited by this initial positioning right here. Your entire team, not your entire team, but a good number of your good guns are hanging out on this alleyway, and you're looking down this road, which I'm assuming you've got shots down there before, and that is really kind of counting on people being stupid. Well, there's one. There's a stupid, as Klaus would say. Does he still say that? I don't know. There he goes. E50, yep, move forward. Okay, he's looking at you. He's tired of getting shot, and you take him down. So that's fine, and unfortunately that's the kind of situation where people go, oh yeah, that's a good spot, I should go there, you know, because then stupid people who drive through there, I'll kill them. I go, okay, how many games does a guy come blitzing up the middle right there? The other place you might have been looking is way over at about G, what is it, G2 or 3, but that relies on somebody either coming up that road, which is, again, not a very smart person, or stopping there and trying to shoot as they're crossing, but you can see that the team has gone way across. So for my money, your initial positioning on this tank should be down there where your IS-3 and FV are fighting, trying to take on the enemy tanks down on what I believe to be the critical part of this map. You have a considerable amount of tanks up in the north futzing around in the field as well, and only one of their tanks has been spotted. You got another foolish guy driving up in his Marmbrecher, whatever that is, however you say it. And we're kind of sitting here and we've taken one shot for the entire game. So positioning wise, I think you should have taken it down to the south. You can go up into the north field, but again, you're relying on other people to spot. You're relying on the enemy team to be a little bit foolish. And holy cow, you've got plenty of guys camping. All the mediums are camping in the back, hiding behind bushes and whatnot over there. This was a dangerous move to me, because if there was somebody down there on your right, you'd have got absolutely wrecked. And I'm quite surprised. Usually with that amount of TDs, there's at least one guy looking down that lane, and it may be that he just didn't see you. The WT's not him, though. You can see that he's down in the southwest. And now we're going to move up and start supporting these guys a little bit. You see that E20? Man, I'd have stopped right there. That E100 was just ripe for the shooting. You're kind of messing around, and side scraping really... It does minimize, I suppose, the amount of your tank that's exposed, but I think you had a shot a little earlier than that. He was kind of busy looking at all those other guys anyway. And what I'd have done here is I'd have moved right up with that AMX-30 and started working on those guys that are down in the hole down there. This thing has enough depression to do that. You may have been worried about the E100, but if he came around the corner, he would have been punished by the AMX and by you eventually. So more than likely, he's got enough to worry about. I think if you moved up with the AMX-30, you might have had a bit of a heyday just blapping people down there. And so the key then, forward, using the Skorpian G forward like that, is to pop out and shoot when you can't be shot back. And that just requires timing the enemy's shots, timing your friend's shots, and just being careful when you pop out. But it can be absolutely devastating if you're close enough. See that Marmbrecher thing, you would have hit him already. You probably would have hit that VK as well had you been up there with the AMX-30. Back here, you can't really tell if he's fired or not. It's hard to see. And you're just sort of relying on this guy being dopey and moving up and taking these little snipe shots. And that's fine. That's a good shot. You made it happen. But it would have been a lot easier if you were up with the AMX-30. And then when you back up, you go behind those buildings in that rubble pile, get yourself safe, and wait for your next chance to jump out and assassinate somebody. And that's what this Skorpian G is all about, close in like that, because it hits hard enough that it really does dissuade the enemy from kind of just poking out and taking shots all the time. Now, it will not dissuade the enemy if you're down to a one-shot, or they can put HE and put a huge blap on you. So that is a danger with the Skorpian G of moving up and working forward like that. But at the same time, if you're up there supporting the 100.01, you have a lot of crossfire, and just think of all the shots you've missed in there. That whole time you could have been popping out and shooting that guy and adding to your damage total. Now we're finally kind of moving up. I'd have taken that shot and backed up. I'd have just shot and backed up. You just kind of look in your direction. There was no reason to sit there and try to zoom in. Yeah, I would also be concerned about the U100, but he just fired, so move on in. The 100.1 just died. And just charge on in there and see if you can't get him. I'd also dabbed 2, I believe, in here, because you really need that little extra oomph to go through the E100. Now, this guy's in a bit of trouble. This is clean up on aisle 2, and you just want to get in there and get some shots. You do want to watch out for him somehow putting HE on you, but he's got other things to worry about. He's charging down that way. He's got the 50-100 right in his face, and the FD shoots him in the back, and down he goes. So really on this one, Banzi Duck, what I would say is initial positioning, I didn't like that much. Probably needed to take your tank somewhere where it could do a little bit more damage. You got a couple shots in there, you were careful, that's good. I would say overall that being careful is a very good thing in this tank. But I think potentially just a little over careful at times. Maybe just snap that shot and see what you can do. Eventually you got to where I think you needed to be, but it just took you a while to get there. That being said, you want to be careful about not overextending with this tank because of its speed and mobility, and you're thinking, hey, I got this big gun. It is very easy to get out too far forward, and enemies will be tempted to pop out and take a hit or two just because they know they can wax you at will, depending, it doesn't even matter where they hit you essentially on the tank. So those are two things you have to balance. I know they kind of go against each other directly, but I think on this game a little bit more aggression. So let's take a look at the next one. Alright, Banzi, for the second one, again in your Skorpian, this time loaded into Steppes, which is a completely different map. This is a much more open map, unlike the city map that you were on Paris. So it's also got 2 artillery which can reach out and touch you. There were artillery in the last game, but it was easy to kind of cover up from them relatively anyway with a big city around you. But here you've got to be a bit more cognizant of the artillery. Positioning is always important, and I'm not... This is a decent side, especially for the Skorpian. A little bit of standoff there. You don't want guys to come around where they can just pop around corners and get onto you and blast you with the HE and everything. So we'll talk about that as we go. There is an option to go over to the west side. I have taken the Skorpian over there. It's just tricky because it's not going to do any hold down fighting, right? Popping the turret up and over is going to do you no good. So the only real option if you go to the west is to tuck up on these rocks. Use your mobility and speed to get up here and then be the pop out and shoot guy. But again, if they overload, that's where what I was discussing earlier, where they see a Skorpian who has overextended, they're very tempted to just drive around and wax you before you can do anything about it. And because they know they're going to get shots in on you, you'll see that happen quite a bit. Dude, I just want to talk to you and everybody else who does this kind of thing. You were trying to tuck in to the other side of this Panzer 7, and what was going to happen is you were going to see someone to shoot, you were going to pop forward, and he was going to shoot you right back in the back of the turret. There was plenty of room over here on this side to pop around. In fact, you don't have to worry about your hull being up on this angle right here, and you don't have to worry about driving right in front of a guy who's already in position right there. So try to take that kind of thing out of your game. It's just not really a good idea. Looks like you're rethinking it there and moving around, so that's good. Alright, man, this is where we get into the Guido says be aggressive, and now you're being aggressive. And to some extent I agree with this, but here's what I don't like about it. You're not here first. So if you'd have zipped it down here immediately, got in position, got zoomed in so that just your gun was showing, and you were waiting for that E75 or whoever else is over here to come around that corner, that far one over there, to get a free shot and back up and minimize his ability to hit you, that would have been a great idea initially. And then if it looks like nobody's following up to help you, i.e. all those jackasses behind you, camping behind the hills back there, then you can use the mobility to turn around and get the heck out of dodge, climb back up the hill and get out of there. What you did is you sort of stood back for a while, and now you're getting forward and being aggressive. And this is starting to feel like, to me, a little bit of overextension on a soft tank. Also, the artillery is now paying attention to everything over here, right? You've lost that kind of element of surprise. I'm going to get a free shot, and now the artillery is going to see this Panzer 7, and he's going to get a 2-for-1 because now there's both of you right here, and he's like, oh, this is beautiful. I'm going to shoot these guys. Also too, dab 2, man. If you're going to fight the turret of an E-75 or any of these other heavies, there's no reason not to just push 2 and get the APCR going, because you're just going to limit yourself. You probably had a decent chance of actually penning that guy. Bad idea to just sit there. I'd have backed up immediately. And you're going to come back and look for a shot, and he's zoomed in on it. Yeah, bam. There it is. I don't know if you misidentified that he had fired. Maybe you thought he had fired. Maybe it was the Panzer 7 who actually had fired. I do that myself. Just be extremely... Ooh, and there's another one you didn't need to take. Right? So he was just waiting for you to do stuff like that. And that's a great example there of when you're aggressive in a Skorpion on a situation like that, just pull back and disappear. You need to go away for a moment because he's timing you. He's got you out reloaded. I need a word for that, but basically he is inside your reload loop. He is in position waiting for you to poke as opposed to you being in position and waiting for him to poke. And that is a bad situation for a tank with no armor, because you have no reasonable expectation of pushing forward, bouncing a shot, and getting a shot off yourself. You're just walking into a sure penetration by him. Alright, so the Panzer 7 pushed forward. I missed it earlier, but you should have probably pushed forward earlier on one of those guys' reloads and get up there and help. Also, this was ill-advised. You actually had a shot right there, and you come on up and over and eat another shot just to bounce off the top of the T-69, which has an amazingly bouncy turret because of the goofy angles if you hit it wrong. Now the bat chat's coming in, and you get into a bit of a PIO. I would have been backing up. Instead of going forward on that guy, I would have been backing up so that when he comes down to the bottom of this flat, you're over here and had a shot on him. Now, the Panzer 7 got him dead, but if you'd have missed, you'd had a shot. This way, you got to go up and over and then bring your hull down before you can even get your gun on it. And we actually get a little bit backwards on both these guys. Looks like you're headed this way for the T-69. Maybe thinking, nah, the Panzer 7 will help me. Now, if the same thing here applies, I'd have been backing up, looking for a shot on that E-75 as he's coming down, and you get over into this flat and you'll have a shot on him because he's real busy pointing at the T-34 and the 58 and all that stuff. Actually ends up dying right here, but I think maybe you'd have the kill on him. Ends up being, I think, a ram kill off the T-34. Now you've got it straightened out. You see this guy coming, gun's not looking at you, and you shoot him. Good job not ramming him, because I'm afraid he might have actually killed you or nearly killed you. Alright, so we've cleaned up this flank, more or less. There are still some guys on the cap. We're going to come up top for just a moment. And I think we probably realize at this point, man, we got problems back at cap, so I need to kind of quit pushing here. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to use this terrain, this low spot with these nice hills on my left to screen myself as I move up to the cap. LTTB is sitting back there. Alyssa Fox, and she has 11 hit points, he or she or whatever. But kind of taking a look at these guys. Can you get away? Not really sure what it's doing out in the open. I think it ends up dying here real quick. And you're just going to come up over here over the top and kind of do a blind shot which goes into the dirt. Alright, so you are seen. The Sheridan sees you. The Panzer 7's on his way, but he's down over there on the other side. You got no one on this side, and pretty soon that Sheridan's going to come. In fact, you actually come back up over top a little bit, and here he comes. So you're a one-shot to that guy. What I'd have done, as soon as it looked like he was coming for me, I'd have turned this thing around and tried to get back down below here, or maybe just go around the corner and get up with your Panzer 7, and hopefully you can survive this Sheridan. But here he comes. He's charging you, right? He knows he owns you. He may even take a hit. He probably doesn't even care. If this was your plan and you were just going to take him on, I'd have stopped and zoomed in right here and looked for that first shot as he came around the corner. I'm not certain. I think you probably could have killed him with a super high roll right there. But as it turns out, he's actually going to get the shot first and just blap you. Kind of doing what I said to you. He was actually able with his speed to get around there and slow down and wait for you to come around the corner and shoot at you first. So kind of inside your stopping and aiming loop right there. Okay, Banzi, so some takeaways for your Skorpian G. On the first one, you were in a city map, probably a little bit more passive than you should have been, but it has to be careful aggression so that what happens, doesn't happen like it did on the second one here, where you were a little bit more aggressive, but not in the correct way. Guys getting inside your reload and aiming loop, a few bad decisions on when to poke and trying to take shots, a little tentative on when to advance. Nice decision to go back, but a little bit poorly executed right there, as you knew the Sheridan was coming around and coming after you. So probably an opportunity there to just get around and get back with your Panzer 7 and be more of a support guy with the Panzer 7 instead of trying to get out in front and being so much of the lead dog. The Skorpion can do that if it has a good kind of ambush position or assassin position, but if you get out there alone and become the focus of somebody, you're going to go down pretty quick. So, all right, man, I hope some of that helped you with your Skorpian G gameplay. And as always, everybody else out there, if you like what you saw, make sure you subscribe. I hope you learned something. And as always, we will see you.